Thank you very much. Joining me now, a Democrat who serves on the House Judiciary Committee, Congressman Eric Swalwell. He is on the Intelligence Committee as well. Congressman, thanks for joining us. We have a lot to discuss on Trump's visit to El Paso. But first, what's your reaction to this news you heard just a few moments ago from our Manu Raju about Chairman Nadler? How significant is this?
We're conducting an impeachment investigation, and we want to hear from all of the witnesses to President Trump's lawlessness. Now, if you take a step back, all of these individuals could come in on their own. They don't have to follow the president's unlawful orders that they don't testify. So first, why can't Don McGahn just, tell the White House to go pound sand and that he's going to come in and talk to us? These folks, if they have nothing to hide, they'll cooperate with an investigation of this magnitude. That would help us make this determination sooner. Second, obstructing Congress is also an impeachable offense, and that was one of the third articles of impeachment against Nixon. And the president should not benefit from telling all of these folks, don't come forward, don't cooperate, and then say, well, you don't have anything because he has obstructed us. That is something we can also hold him to account on.
And let's get to the new details we're learning about President Trump's visit to El Paso yesterday. A source tells me none of the 8 patients at that hospital accepted the offer to meet with the president, so they had to invite 2 patients who had already been discharged back to the hospital. What does that say to you about this visit yesterday?
It was unnecessary, and I hate to say that because during times like these, whether it was, President George H.W. Bush going to Miami after Hurricane Andrew, President Clinton going to Oklahoma City after the bombing there, presidents pull our country together, and every time this president sees discord and division, he widens it, and we really needed him to pull us together. And instead, he used this as a political rally, so to speak. He released a campaign video. He insulted one of his presidential rivals, Beto O'Rourke, while he was at the hospital. Those families, I'm not surprised that they didn't want to meet with them, but my heart does break for them. And just as a parent myself, to think about those 2 parents who lost, that child who lost 2 parents who threw themselves over that child. Every parent in America right now imagines themselves in that position and wants to know, what is the president going to do to take that fear away from all of us?
And getting to the issue of gun control, President Trump has spoken to the NRA chief, Wayne LaPierre, multiple times over the last couple of days. I'm sure you've seen this, and he's been getting pushback after expressing support for background checks. How likely is it, do you think, that we'll see any new legislation? Well,
we actually should take stock of where we are, Jim. After Parkland, we saw groups across the country converge, and they said, we're going to make gun safety a top issue at the ballot box. So during the midterms, 17 NRA-endorsed members of Congress lost. That helped us win the House, and in the first 100 days, we passed background checks. So we've made significant progress. We need the Senate now to take it up. Background checks, as far as I see it, that's the floor. It's not the ceiling. We also need an assault weapons ban and buyback. That's the only way we're going to truly keep people safe from shootings like this. But I also think about cities like Chicago and Oakland and cities across America that have mass shootings every weekend, and they need structural reform when it comes to investments in education and health care and access to good-paying jobs. These are not beyond our imagination, but right now it's beyond the political courage from the Republicans.
And Congressman, I mean, you focused on gun control during your campaign. As you know, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, this has just come out in the last several minutes. He now says he won't bring the Senate back during the recess to vote on new legislation, but he says background checks and red flag laws will be front and center. But aren't you concerned, Congressman, that the momentum will die down over the next few weeks? And there just won't be the same momentum that there would be right now. This happened after Parkland, as you know.
We're not going to let the momentum die down because we don't have to live this way anymore, Jim. The other day, constituents of mine were calling me and telling me they don't want to go to church. They're afraid to take their kids to the supermarket. A priest called me in my district who's an immigrant and said, what can we do so that my parishioners are safe? And Jim, this is a priest who's having his faith tested. We don't have to live this way, and that means we can't let the momentum die. We need to put the pressure on Mitch McConnell to bring the Senate back into session, and it's so insulting when Mitch McConnell says it's premature to have a conversation about this. Was it premature to do it after Sandy Hook? Was it premature to do it after Charleston? Would it have been premature to do it after Pulse? Or how about Las Vegas or Parkland or Santa Fe? I could go on and on and on, Jim, and there's going to be another city, sadly, until we find the political courage in the Senate to do something. And one last point, Jim. If you are a senator who is running for president, you have a unique position that no one else has. You can go to the Senate floor when the Senate reopens and filibuster and stand until your legs give in and speak until your lungs give out and force a vote on this so we know where every single senator stands.
And that's where you're calling on your fellow, I guess your former rivals who are senators to do, to filibuster.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, Congressman.
And they do a great job of it. I'd love to hear from them.
Okay, Congressman Eric Swalwell, thank you very much. Just ahead, a live interview with Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris. She is a senator on her campaign in Iowa, and a reaction to the president's troubled trip to El Paso.